Since I was a teenager, I have believed Burnout Paradise is the best racing game of all time. Until now, I've never gone back and checked. I'm sure everything I believed as a dumbass closeted teenager was true, but let's check just in case. Burnout Paradise came out in 2008 as the first open-world Burnout game, and the final mainline game in the Burnout franchise. Soon after, Criterion were drafted into making Need for Speed games, and acting as a Battlefield support studio, and Burnout was effectively dead. Conveniently, Burnout Paradise was remastered recently, so I picked up that version and gave it a try.
And it's definitely good. Handling models are a matter of taste, but the handling model holds up as an arcadey racer. The roads are packed with detail, with jumps and shortcuts to discover, and since it's all open in every event, just driving around can help you learn better routes for races. It's a surprisingly freeform, crunchy feeling game. Whereas Forza Horizon's open world is pretty straightforward, you either follow roads up mountains or across rivers, or else just drive straight through the countryside. Paradise City mostly has roads with crash barriers on the side, meaning you'll die if you veer off the road at high speed.
This isn't strictly better than Horizon, but it has its advantages. Traversing the open world is more controlled, so they're able to make sure most roads have something interesting or unique about them.
The game also doesn't need Horizon-style checkpoints during races to force you to go the way they want, because the city's design already forces you to take fair routes during a race, without needing an arbitrary checkpoint to stop you driving on the grass. I like that the selection of songs plus DJ Atomika's voiceover gives it a sense of style, compared to a lot of modern racing games that feel emotionless and focus tested to appeal to no one.
Parking is boring. No one likes parking, right? Wrong. I saw a car repark into a space going about 100 miles per hour. That's how we do things in Paradise City. This is DJ Atomika, broadcasting to you on Crash FM.
That said, there are 3 core traits that make Burnout Paradise great. One is the races being started at any intersection. This means that finding a race isn't a matter of opening up a minimap and setting a waypoint to follow. For the majority of the game, you just go to the nearest intersection and spin your wheels, and you have some kind of race started. The danger with open world games is that the open world portions become glorified level select screens. Games like Forza Horizon unlock parts of the map in sections, and have their races spread out over their much larger worlds, meaning you'll often need to set a GPS marker to find a race, a feature Burnout Paradise doesn't even have. The intersection-based race starts eliminate a lot of the downtime, and allow you to just follow a road to start an event. You can end up in situations later on where the left half of the map is pretty much complete, and then you do have to drive purposefully to another part of the map to find a race. But even then, the game world is fairly small, and you're liable to run into a distraction, like the roaming cars you can smash into to unlock new vehicles. There are 2 steps to unlocking a vehicle. First, you beat enough races or upgrade your license, and a vehicle will start driving around Paradise City. But to actually unlock it, you need to see it in the open world, and make it crash so you can pick it up from a junkyard. Often, you'll be driving towards the next intersection for a race, and a cool car you recently unlocked will zoom past you. If you want that car, you've got to speed up, drive recklessly, and crash into it until it's destroyed. There's a lot of talk in open world games about getting distracted on the way to your destination, and this is Burnout's version of that. Sometimes, this isn't dramatic at all, and you'll accidentally total a car, do it too easily, or lose track of them and have to try again. But other times, this will turn into a tense, no-holds-barred race across the city, where the goal isn't to go anywhere, but to catch up to this one car and slam it into a wall. And when you've been trying to catch this car for a while, chasing it unsuccessfully for a few times, it can be a triumphant moment. Once you're done, you're in a different part of the city, ready to find a nearby intersection and start a new race, or head off to the junkyard and get your new car. You've successfully been encouraged to do something other than what you were planning, and possibly move towards another event. This system isn't perfect, partially because it's too infrequent, and there aren't that many other fun distractions in the open world, but it's a genuine attempt to make the open world feel alive, and give reasons to be in it. It's also worth mentioning that every road has a fastest time you can set while driving around, and you can compete against your friends' times. Personally, I've never had any friends play Paradise at the same time as me, so I didn't care about this. You can also smash all the billboards and break all the fences, but it's a lot of work.
Neither of these were that interesting, but it would be incomplete to not say that there are indeed other things to get distracted by in the world.
The third pillar that makes Burnout Paradise special is destroying opponents' cars, the defining feature of Burnout. Many other racing games use licensed cars. but car brands don't want their cars depicted as fragile or horribly destroyed, which limits the gameplay options available to games with licensed vehicles. Burnout Paradise, instead, uses fake car brands. Some of these car designs aren't as cool as real, professionally designed cars, and they won't appeal to car superfans who love knowing all the specific models, but it lets them create whatever car designs they think will be most fun, and then destroy them on the road. The destruction mechanic itself can be a bit strange. Some hits feel like they should destroy an opposing car but don't, and some small hits do. But at its core, the destruction adds a sense of lethality and speed to the driving.
I was often genuinely on the edge of my seat when driving a fast car because any tiny collision would destroy me, and that's an exciting feeling for a racing game.
There are certain races just based around destroying enemy cars, which adds variety. A game mode dedicated to reaching the finish line while all opposing cars try to destroy your car, and even a silly bouncy car destruction minigame if you press R1 and L1 while in the open world. Burnout's lack of licensed cars and willingness to have destruction makes fun the focus of the game. And while this sort of mechanic might not suit all games, it's certainly a lot more fun to accidentally crash and watch your car crumple and respawn than it is to crash and then slowly reverse as all the other cars overtake you and you realize it may be easier to just restart the race. This pillar is also underpinned by the game's design pushing you to take risks. You gain boost faster by driving against oncoming traffic, having close calls with other cars, taking jumps that might make you crash, taking out other drivers, drifting, and generally going fast. You'll basically always want to be boosting, and if you don't take some risks to get boost, you'll fall behind your opponents, making pushing your luck as much as possible the best strategy. Reacting to incoming danger is genuinely difficult as the game goes on and you unlock faster cars, which adds a nice difficulty curve to things. The game's design also has some issues though. Every race begins at an intersection and ends at one of 8 finish lines around the map. And this simple race design means that races can start to feel a little repetitive. It's only made worse by the fact you can repeat races for each driver's license level. The opponents get a bit harder, but repeating a race means the ending points get repeated even more often. I know, I've spent most of this video praising the smaller open world. Although there are lots of cool details and hidden areas, it's totally possible to miss them and repeat the same roads over and over because they're obvious. Although the small area allows for a race around every corner, it also means there just aren't that many unique turns for races to take. The open world design of the races means you can refine your route as you better learn your way around the city, so it's not exactly the same when repeating races, but that hardly fixes the problem.
The question is, how does Burnout Paradise compare to other racing games? Well, racing games have a structure problem. Racing is the fun part. You want to race. However, just racing is boring and repetitive. Something needs to connect the races together in a meaningful way. Most racing games use menus, but this means you're pretty much stuck with shitty structure, where each race is bookended by boring menuing. Look at, for example, Project Cars 3. Wow, cool menus! Grid 2019, menus. Gran Turismo 7, pretty menus. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. What are these games, menu simulators? If you're a racing fan, your immediate response is probably that I'm being stupid. Menus are one of the quickest ways to get from one race to the next, while allowing freedom of choice and allowing you to quickly switch and customize your car. Menus are actually a good solution, but they're hardly the best solution for most games in my opinion. Like if we look at non-racing games, the majority of them are not menu-based games.
Dark Souls ties gameplay together by walking from place to place. Jak and Daxter uses cutscenes and platforming to connect its segments. Call of Duty places each mission directly after the last, tying them together with cutscenes. And even XCOM 2, which does involve using a menu, represents it in a way that makes the things you see on your menu meaningful and representational of gameplay systems. Sure, you can point to stuff like EA Sports FC or Street Fighter, which are both games based on playing individual matches and use menus to set them up. But both of those games have story modes or other single-player modes that aren't just mashing your way through a menu to set up another round.
Pacing and structure are integral to the way we experience games, and most racing games fail to have interesting structure for their single-player campaigns. The campaigns of most racing games aren't even just menus, they're a list of tasks to complete.
They challenge you to complete a collection of races and reward you with new cars and another group of races to complete. This isn't that interesting. Sure, it's fun to have a goal to reach, and a new car to play with once you reach it, but structurally, this is repetitive and trite. It was fun when I was a kid, and now I want something more exciting.
Burnout Paradise presents one great solution to this problem, an open world with races pretty much everywhere. The majority of racing games have completely given up.
There are other open world racing games, and by and large, I think what they do is better than these menu-based racing games, but few of them place enough races around the place to make it always easy to race, and even fewer place enough ambient goals to get distracted by in the open world. In fact, many of them limit races in certain areas until you unlock the area, meaning that you can drive around and find no races at all. They also tend to have larger open worlds than Burnout, with a lower race density that means you need to purposefully drive towards races. Some open world racing games do better than others, and in general I like most of them, but the ones I've played have stagnated around the most obvious mechanics and designs. Outside of open world racing games, the genre has stuck to menus and become stale and uninteresting to me, even as I enjoy the racing itself.
While there have been attempts to fix the structure of menu-heavy games, I think they've mostly not worked.
Gran Turismo 7 guides you through menus, literally called menus, that focus on a particular kind or era of car, teach you some of the history, and make you race that particular kind of car to unlock more of them, and make money that you can use to buy other cars. But this lacks an overall structure. While the menus do escalate to more powerful cars later on, it lacks a sense of direction or connective tissue.
Like, on my first menu, I'm thinking, what's the endpoint here? What's going to happen when I've completed 25 of these, or 50? Are we moving through time? Or are the cars becoming more powerful? Is there an end? And if so, why does it arbitrarily end there?
On top of this, the menus are still convoluted, and include a world map with a list of races, which is just boring. Burnout Paradise's goal is to upgrade your license by winning races, which in and of itself is pretty much the same as every other game. But because the races are everywhere and you're not kicked to a menu to peruse them, it feels a lot smoother, like you're part of the world trying to become a high-level driver, rather than a player scrolling through a menu to find a race that looks fun. Forza Horizon is a regularly released open-world driving game, so it should benefit from the same structure as Burnout. But Forza Horizon's races don't let you choose your route, making the open world a glorified menu in some ways. And on top of that, the game is a mess of roulettes with tons of seasonal and online content including limited time quests, and progression feels pretty whack as a result. Burnout Paradise carefully doles out cars in an escalating manner that helps give the game a sense of progression, and it doesn't have microtransactions or timed quests that encourage you to play the game more. It just wants you to play because it's fun.
Burnout Paradise may not be the best racing game of all time. The end of the game is incredibly anticlimactic. Getting your Burnout Elite license is a grind, and there are some frustrations to the gameplay. Beyond that, what racing game you think is best will be heavily influenced by what style of game you prefer, with the genre spanning simulators to kart races. But I'm hard-pressed to think of a racing game I like more than Burnout Paradise. I have my complaints, but I have even more about any other racing game I can think of. I like a lot of racing games, but increasingly, I like them less than other genres. Starting up a decent racing game feels like a chore filled with loading screens and menus, with no real reason to care about progression. When compared to the choice to play a game with an actual story that involves me finding gameplay by moving around the world rather than clicking through menus, I usually do that instead. And that means I end up playing less racing games than I otherwise would. When I imagine a racing game that inspires pure joy, I think of Burnout Paradise. Opening the game, picking a car, and just driving. That's the essence of racing.
If at first you don't succeed, then try again. And if you still don't succeed, try another event. Your thought for the day from DJ Atomika.